How's it going, guys? We got some news on the new NASCAR console game coming out next year in 2025. Feels like deja vu. I feel like not too long ago, now a few years ago though, I was reading the same kind of thing about motorsport games using the Unreal Engine. The game's gonna be coming out. I got all excited. That's not happening this time, guys. I'm gonna keep my expectations in check. But don't get me wrong, iRacing is the right people to hold over this game. But yes, that is the news, is that the game will be under the Unreal Engine. This is from Mike Straw. This is one of the articles he has put up. There was an IndyCar article that we'll talk about, I guess, later in the video, and then there's a 50-minute interview with the president of iRacing, Tony Gardner. You guys can check that out. All the links are in the description down below. I have watched parts of the interview, not all of it, so I could tell you guys some things as well. Like, for example, customization. It's not going to be like trading paints, because obviously the console world is different than the PC world. There's different licensing, loopholes that NASCAR and iRacing have to go through in the console side, where it's not going to allow something like trading paints where you can make anything you want, essentially, and put it on there. You can't do that, guys. We're not gonna have a NASCAR 9 situation where there was literal porn on the track all the time. So it's not going to be like that. That's going to be one aspect of it. I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members, as always, for supporting the channel. Thank you guys so much for your support. Leave your comments down below. Are you excited about this game that will be coming out next year in 2025? What are your expectations for it and everything like that? Now, knowing that it will be using the Unreal Engine. Now, this might not seem like big news, because you guys might be like, Radman, well, NASCAR 21 Ignition used the Unreal Engine. You were super excited about that. And I'm like, yes, I was excited about that. I did not want to use the Unity engine. I'm tired of the Unity engine. And it was leaving the Unity engine via the NASCAR Heat games developed by Monster Games. And it was now going to use the Unreal Engine. Obviously, if you just look at it, guys, if you look at NASCAR 21 Ignition and NASCAR Heat 5 side by side, NASCAR 21 Ignition is the better looking game. Unreal Engine is the better running engine, in my opinion. You can do a lot of things on Unity. You can make some great games on Unity. But in terms of, graphic fidelity and well, mainly graphic fidelity, lighting, ray tracing, I really believe Unreal Engine is the way to go. But the big news here is that it's led by Monster Games. Now, if you don't know this, Monster Games was using Unity Engine this whole time, throughout their entire existence. I'm talking about back in the NASCAR Heat days. It is Unreal Engine, okay? Like, I mean, not Unreal, Unity Engine. It's Unity Engine. Unity Engine and NASCAR Heat. Unity Engine Daytona. Unity Engine for the NASCAR Heat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that we had from 2016 to 2020. It was all Unity Engine. So now they are tackling a brand new engine for them as well. As we go into the article, it's a really big deal here also, that we're gonna, so they've talking Tony Gardner, blah blah blah. It's in the early stages of the console game. The Monster Game Group, they've built a lot of NASCAR games. We know that they're taking the lead on it, but we have significantly beefed that group up. This is very important. So, since acquiring Monster Games, they boosted the employees by almost 100%. It goes from 20 employees to 35. So that's obviously a very big deal. On top of that, iRacing has loaned engineers to the studio for its work. So engineers that usually work on iRacing have been loaned to the studio for Monster Games to work on this game to help with more available development. So we can't really guess how many that is, but let's just say it's 5. Then literally the employees have gone up 100% from 20 to 40. But we don't know how many loaned engineers there are. However, it's really good that Monster Games has been beefed up significantly. Honestly, for like the perfect NASCAR game, I would want the employees to be around like 75, honestly. But I don't think iRacing and Monster Games is ever going to get to that level. But that would be ideal, but I don't think that's going to happen. So this is the biggest deal, is that they're going to to Unreal Engine, but there's literally double the people most likely that's going to be on the game. And it's also providing tech within iRacing itself for the games being developed by the Monster team, or while iRacing is now referring to them as the console studio, as opposed to Monster Games alone. So you have iRacing, who obviously work on the service day in and day out in terms of updating the tracks, updating the cars, updating the setups, updating everything, lighting, rain, whatever it is. AI career mode, which should be coming next year. That was in the interview as well. So iRacing AI career will be coming next year, guys. There might be some little like seeding points earlier this year, or later this year, but next year will be when that comes out. So the console studio. So I'm not even going to call them Monster Games anymore. I'm going to call it the iRacing Console Studio, like they do. So I'm not going to be referring to them as Monster Games. It's going to be iRacing Console Studio, guys. Okay. So this is what he said. They're using the car models, the track models, and a lot of the tech, and they've done a lot of integration on the back end. So when we update a track, we're bringing all of our NASCAR tracks up to the latest spec to get them all current, and they've developed a system where they can import our tracks and things like that. This is one of the big questions I had, is that would a console game, because if you guys look at iRacing, just go into your folders if you can. You could go look at all the tracks. The tracks are pretty big, you know, like in terms of file size, the tracks are pretty hefty. So I was wondering, well, for the 23, 24, 25, 26, however many tracks, licensed tracks you would want to put in the game, would you be able to import the scanned version of the track to the console game? It's a very big deal. If you look at, for example, Watkins Glen on NASCAR Heat 5, or even Watkins Glen on NASCAR 21 Ignition, you can tell it's not scanned. It is created. Now, not all the tracks are scanned. In even prime games like Codemasters and the Formula 1 games, you can look at Monza. Monza has a lot of issues in the F1 games. It is not updated. I don't even think it's scanned. There are little things here and there that are just not replicating what the track looks like in real life. In iRacing, you never have to worry about that. It is scanned to perfection on the date that they scan it. So for example, I don't remember the last time Daytona was scanned, but Daytona, when you go on iRacing, probably doesn't look like what Daytona looks like now, but at the time they scanned it, it is pinpoint accurate. So as iRacing updates their tracks, that is probably what is going to be within the game. However, what I'm thinking about is, what about some tracks that haven't been scanned, that haven't been updated in 3, 4, 5 years? What are those tracks going to look like in the game if they're going to import the scanned version, but then they have to change the little details, whether it be the billboard signs, the track logo, stuff like that, to make it look like a 2025 NASCAR game? Because the thing about a console game, guys, is you have to understand it's all about licensing. You can't have a track and have the licensing aspects of it, whether it be the billboards, the logos, and all this stuff. You can't have it be inaccurate. It has to be accurate to what NASCAR wants in terms of the licensing deal that you signed under the contract. So it's going to be really interesting to see, will all the tracks be scanned? According to the president here, Mr. Gardner, he is saying that they're able to basically import their tracks, and all of iRacing's tracks are scanned. So that is very good news. You guys should be really happy about that, because that means every bump. You're not going to have an Atlanta version of NASCAR Heat 5, where Monster Games made Atlanta, guys. And if you go on play a NASCAR Heat 5, which is a Monster Games created game, Atlanta is smooth as butter. Literally smooth as butter. That's the old version of Atlanta, smooth as butter. Now, it's still going to be smooth as butter because it's an updated version of Atlanta, unfortunately. But it's going to be like the accurate version. Chicagoland, which is not on the... Damn it. What are some bumpy tracks, guys? Kansas is aging pretty nicely. Any other bumpy tracks? I'm trying to think. Homestead will be nice. I don't know, but basically what I'm trying to say is the tracks will be up to date. That is massive. That's really big news here, so great job. And with it being on the Unreal Engine, that's gonna be cool. I do like so he's saying here that they've done a lot of integration on the back end. What's really interesting is that iRacing does not use Unreal Engine. iRacing is its own engine. So what have they done in terms of the track models and a lot of their tech? How have they imported that into the Unreal Engine? Everything has to be used via the Unreal Engine, and Unreal Engine is not used for iRacing on the computer. It's their own thing. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how they import that. What have they been doing? It's really interesting, really cool. I'd like to go further in detail on that. As far as the engine being used for development of the new NASCAR console game, no longer will be built in Unity. Thank you. Although, for example, as was the case under Motorsport games, that's actually false. Mike, there is one issue here. NASCAR 21 Ignition under Motorsport games is using Unreal. I think what he means by this is that Monster Games was under Motorsport games at the very end, and they were using Unity. I think that's what he means by that. But NASCAR 21 Ignition under Motorsport games was using Unreal. Same engine as what iRacing is about to use. Now, Monster Games, when they were, or the iRacing console studio, will now be switching over to Unreal Engine, which is really cool. It's something that will bring NASCAR to the next generation that Gardner and the team at iRacing feel was necessary moving forward. This is true, guys. Listen, I was saying this when iRacing took over. I was like, if Monster Games is going to be using the Unity engine, I'm going to be really disappointed. Like, my expectations at that point are going to be really low, because it's not going to look like a AAA game. It's not going to feel like a AAA game. It's just not going to work if you use the Unity engine. I'm really happy that they're moving to Unreal. Hopefully they can actually use Unreal Engine 5. By the time they're making this game, maybe Unreal Engine 5 is already in process and they could use all that, the lighting, the textures, basically the amount of polygons they could essentially use in the game. It's going to be so great if they are using Unreal Engine 5. I hope they are. In addition to the updated engine, there's a heavy focus on the driving and the features offered within the game, guys. While Gardner couldn't go into too much detail because of how early in development the game is, and by the way, I'm still thinking this game is a late 2025. I would really hope it comes out February 2025. That'd be fantastic, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would guess start of the playoffs 2025. That's probably their target. If they can't get it then they might as well just shove it to 2026 Daytona. Like, they really should. If you can't hit 2025 February, that's okay. But if you can't hit 2025 September, like if you don't think you can get the game in the right state by then, please don't worry about releasing it in October, November, December. No, just push it back to February. Start of the Daytona 500. Release it right around there. That's where you want, and you have another 5 months to polish it if you can't hit it into September. So that would be my opinion. But I do think they're going to try for that September 2025 date. I would be thrilled if it's February. I just don't think that's going to happen. We want a real focus on the driving. As iRacing as a brand, Gardner said there's going to be a lot of focus on good driving, and career mode is really important with the console game. I'm loving what they're saying, man. I'm loving what they're saying. Like I said, I'm not going to get too excited just because Motorsport Games let us all down, but iRacing is not Motorsport Games. I will give iRacing a lot of benefits of the doubt. But what I like is that the direction is what is good. Now, remember, I'm going to read this next thing, and because this is basically around the end of the article, I'm going to read this next thing, and then I'm going to let you guys know again. There's obviously a lot of effort in that. I don't want to give away too much about the game. We've got news coming, but you know the way the game works is with some fun new stuff in it that I can't talk about quite yet, which is cool. Now, guys, remember this. I've been saying this as we make videos on this, and we'll be saying this as we go on. Please do not expect too much out of this game. I'm talking full-blown owner mode. Full-blown, like, signing contracts and sponsorships and this and that, and the money matters, and you can buy a team, and you can hire pit crew members, and you can make a garage and make 10 different cars and 14 different chassis and 50 different engine units and all this kind of stuff. Probably not. I would expect the first career to be really basic. Now, it depends on what they have. If they only have the Cup Series, I would expect a more detailed version of a career in the Cup Series in terms of maybe you can make your own car, maybe you can upgrade it in a certain way, this, that, stuff. If you have not the Busch Series, but the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series in the game as well, then I would expect something kind of really bare bones. You start in the trucks, you work your way up, blah, 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 something like that. Something we've seen in the Heat games. The reason is, guys, if you want to add the trucks and the Xfinity Series in, it takes a lot of time, a lot of resources to add all that stuff in to make it drive as those cars should. It takes away from the career mode. If iRacing is only going to use the Cup Series, and they have not talked about this yet, they haven't really revealed any of their plans in terms of what series will be in the game. If they only use Cup, which I would prefer that they only use Cup, then they could go more into detail with the career and add more of the stuff they want to in the first game. However, guys, as I keep saying, this is the first game. We don't know if this is a yearly release. We don't know if it's a semi-yearly release. And what I mean by that is like every 2 years. I don't know if that's the right word, semi-yearly, but every 2 years. So every 1 year release off and then another year release. But it's the first game. It's the first game, so don't expect too much out of everything. You know what I mean? And they're going to really be focusing on that driving. Now, remember, you can use a wheel, but you also have to use controller. The majority of people that play this game will be using the controller. I will first play it by using the controller. I kind of only use my wheel with iRacing. I view iRacing as its own thing. When I go into a console game, I would prefer to use controller. I prefer to relax a little bit more, to have fun a little bit more. That's what I would prefer. So they have to learn how to mirror the controller and the wheel as close as possible. It's not going to be identical. There will be an advantage using one or the other at some tracks, but that's going to be very important, and they're going to be really focused on making sure that it drives really well. If they have the scanned tracks, they're already like 30% of the way there, because the scanned tracks will be awesome. Then it's about getting the suspension of the cars and everything to react to the track and to make it like a simcade. That's what this game needs to be. It does not need to be a simulation. It does not need to be an arcade. It needs to be a simcade. It needs to be something that everybody can pick up and play, but then the hardcore drivers, who also probably are most likely on iRacing, can still have fun on the console side of things as well. Now, we're going to go ahead to this article, which is also from Mike Straw again. And it says iRacing is not planning an IndyCar console game right now. And this is not a surprise, like I said. That IndyCar game, that was under Motorsport Games, was close to finished. If we ever see the light of day of that, that'd be really cool. It was close to finished. So it's out there somewhere. Motorsport Games is still going on, by the way. They haven't like folded. They haven't gone bankrupt or anything. But I just hope we could see that game eventually to see what was going on. But iRacing is not planning an IndyCar console game. An exclusive interview with Insider Gaming, iRacing president said that while the company does have plans to expand its work with IndyCar, a console game is not in the cards right now. I'm sure people are interested if we're going to build an IndyCar console game, and I don't think that's in the short-term plan, but I think the door's open. That's a possibility someday. Now, the reason why they can't make it, guys, is simply because they don't have the manpower. They already beefed up the console side up to 35 employees, and they're loaning engineers to them to get more manpower there. They don't have enough employees to make the IndyCar game. And right here, actually, he says it right here. I know that's what people want, and we know in a perfect world we could do that, but we don't want to make the same mistake Motorsport Games and bite off more than we can do. That's exactly what Motorsport Games did. They didn't have the employees, guys. They didn't have the employees. They were trying to make a IMSA game. They were trying to, or not IMSA, they were trying to make a Le Mans game. They were trying to make the NASCAR game. They were trying to make the IndyCar game. They didn't have enough manpower to do all that. So iRacing knows that. They're putting all of their resources on the console side, specifically to NASCAR. I'm sorry, IndyCar fans. I know you don't want to hear that. I do. I want everything on the NASCAR side for now, but that is currently the plan. No, we don't want to do that. Sorry, go back. And they talk about what the plans are. They're going to talk about some things that they've never done before. We hope to announce something soon. We're going to take it to the next level. There's a real excitement between the two companies partnering together, and even in the old days, we never had that. This is going to be something, guys, that's going to be on iRacing. So if you're excited about the Indy 500, obviously, that's going to be coming back, obviously, on the iRacing service. But they're probably going to do more. It's probably going to be mostly on the iRacing PC side of things before it ever comes to consoles. We'll see what they do. And I talked about Motorsport Games acquiring their license in 2021. They never released it. The game saw a delay. They re-signed a deal with iRacing. But again, that game is almost done. That's the crazy thing, is the game is almost done. So it's kind of crazy when you think about that. And then there's the last article by Mike Straw is how they acquired the licenses. And it's not really anything that we don't know about. Like, obviously, Motorsport Games, was going through. Now, what's interesting is that Gardner says that they had a good relationship. iRacing had a good relationship with Motorsport Games in the past. While some things like Motorsport Games locking up exclusivity licenses didn't sit well with them, they felt like they still were always able to talk to each other about various things. I actually didn't think they had a good relationship. I thought Motorsport Games and iRacing didn't really like each other, but hey, he's saying that they did. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure Gardner could be nice if he wants. Motorsport Games is in the mud anyways. Obviously, the CEO left, so I don't think there's anything to really talk about there. But it's pretty simple, like iRacing saw an opportunity. They said they wanted to go after that NASCAR license, and they just kept talking to NASCAR, to Motorsport Games, and it eventually worked itself out. Motorsport Games ran themselves out of money. They had to sell it. They sold it to iRacing. NASCAR wanted iRacing. Long story short, it was a complicated deal, but between MSG, NASCAR, and the NASCAR teams, because there was a deal in place, they had to do a new three-way deal, and this is very important. The teams also get like benefits from this stuff. This is why, guys, that Trading Paints is not going to be coming to the console side, because like you can't, it's like a massive thing that you can't take Ty Gibbs in a NASCAR game and put him in a different car or have different sponsorships and different things like that. You just can't do it. Like, that's the problem why you can't have Trading Paints in the game and stuff like that. It's just a lot of licensing issues. So I had to do a new three-way deal to keep everybody happy. NASCAR was obviously excited. The franchise was struggling on MSG, and they were excited to have a new home. And there you go. Like, it's nothing crazy. It's it is what it is. And an IndyCar game is the same thing. And it's like the same thing. Motorsport Games had to sell, and it is what it is. He did say, I wasn't hoping for them to fail and to not come out with the game, but what happened was they just had too many licenses and not enough people to build the games. And it's such a shame because that IndyCar game was close, man. That IndyCar game was close, but they obviously just couldn't finish it in time. It opened the door for us to jump on that right away with IndyCar and give them credit. It was excited to get them back to fold and get the deal done really quickly. I really wish they could get the game, though. That was my hope. I was hoping iRacing could get the game. I don't know how that works, but like the source code of the game and the build of it and everything. I was hoping that that would happen, but it doesn't seem like it happened, which is really, really frustrating. So, I don't think that game's ever going to see the light of day, but it is what it is. Now, again, guys, I'll leave the link in the description below. This is a 50-minute interview. You can watch it with Mike Charlie. It goes into World of Outlaw stuff. It goes into more iRacing stuff. It goes into esports stuff. I kind of focused only on the console side of things here, not to make the video too long. I think we're already over like 20 minutes, so I apologize about that. But a lot of exciting news. Unreal Engine is coming back. Don't get worried that obviously NASCAR 21 Ignition had a lot of bugs under the Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is the right engine, guys. Trust me, it's the right engine. It's the one you want to use. You just got to make sure that you do it right. And the big news here is that obviously they've beefed up the team. It's now up to 35 with loaned engineers as well. Hopefully over the years it can get up to 50 or something like that. I'm hoping this team can grow and grow and grow as much as possible. But it's really good news for everyone. Now you just got to be patient. Remember, probably not February 2025, most likely September 2025, but hopefully in 2025 we will get this game, and it's a lot of good news. Let them work, let them do what they got to do, and yeah, be excited. Just don't be too excited. Don't get your hopes up too much. Don't expect the greatest game ever made. It's their first game. They need to work on it, and we'll see how it goes. In the long term, like I've been saying, iRacing, having the NASCAR console side of things, is as bright as can be. There's really no one else out there that you would want to have. Hopefully they do a great job. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're not already. Subscribe for new. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.